Hello children, today we are in some classic Southeast Florida wetland habitat, and what better way to be greeted as we get out into the parking lot than this beautiful red-shouldered hawk right here. This is a very young individual. It has not developed the namesake red shoulder yet. Instead of having the red shoulder patch and the pinkish barring on the belly, juvenile red-shouldered hawks are more of a darker brown color with some mottling underneath. This individual was the closest I've ever been to a wild red-shouldered hawk, and it got unusually close. First it was relatively far away, then landed on the ground underneath a bush for a little bit, then flew up to where you're seeing it right now, which was only maybe 10 feet away from where I was standing. It sat in this one spot, seemingly looking around for food like small birds, lizards, snakes, or mice. But when it took off from this spot, it flew so close to me that I could feel the wind coming over my head and shoulders. Definitely the coolest experience I've ever had with a wild hawk. In the same tree as the hawk and seemingly unfazed by the presence of a huge predatory bird was this brown thrasher, an extremely shy close relative to the mockingbirds that is more of a reddish-brown color with white undersides and black streaking. Like I said, this bird is normally very shy, usually only being seen underneath bushes in the leaf litter. However, we were able to get a rare glimpse of one out in the open in this bare tree, which was really cool. This drab brown duck swimming in the water right here is a blue-winged teal, named so because of the light blue patch on the wings that you could only really see when the wings are opened when they're flying. Blue-winged teals are a member of a group of ducks called the dabbling ducks, named so because of their feeding behavior, also called dabbling, in contrast to how many ducks dive into the water to eat their food. Dabbling ducks, as you can see here, stick their head only into the water while sticking the rest of their body straight up into the air, only catching a glimpse into the water rather diving into it. This tricolored heron was sitting This tricolored heron right here was sitting perfectly on the railing, and in great enough lighting to see why this is called the tricolored heron. This is a relatively small species, but the very elongated look as well as the white undersides make this a pretty easy ID. These are called the tricolored heron because they're pretty easily told by the three colors: the white belly, the bluish color above, and that red color on the neck. Overall, a distinctive species that's hard to miss. This right here is the Doublecrested Cormorant, the most common species of cormorant here in Florida, and if you see a cormorant in Florida, it is probably this species. The much rarer neotropic cormorant is much less likely to be found in Florida and is a little bit smaller. Anyways, you could tell that this double-crested cormorant right here is thermoregulating because it is exhibiting a behavior known as gular fluttering. When it's really hot out, like it was this day, cormorants will hold their mouths wide open and vibrate the gular patch, or that patch of skin on the neck, to cool themselves down. This little unassuming drab brown fish is actually a find I was extremely excited about, as it is a fish species that I've almost never seen before and one I was finally able to get good shots of. This is the Redeared Sunfish, a species that at first glance is very plain, but the more you look at it, the more you realize that it's an absolutely beautiful species. In the water, their whole body has kind of a greenish iridescence to them, but the namesake red patch right next to the gill that shines bright red in the right lighting made this fish very distinctive in the water. And even though that red patch is tiny, I could still see it from all the way at the top of the boardwalk when the sun hit it the right way. One of the most unique and highly adapted species of turtle here in South Florida is the Florida softshell. This was an absolutely massive individual, most likely a female. Florida softshells start off more of like a dark brown and yellow mottling, but as they mature, their body turns more into a dull pinkish brown color with almost no patterning. What makes these turtles so interesting though is their weird combination of adaptations. Their very thin and soft shell makes them fit underneath rocks and makes them blend into the soil underneath the water. Their long pig-like nose is used as a snorkel so that way they could breathe while they're still under the water, and their neck, while it might not look like it, can stretch to almost the length of the entire rest of the body. This right here is the caterpillar of the Edwards wasp moth, one of the most interesting looking species of moth here in Florida. As caterpillars, they're covered with almost entirely white setae, or those hairs, except for a little patch of brown hairs close to the head. And the head is a very distinctive bright red color. While entering the pupal stage, the Edwards wasp moth caterpillar weaves a very distinctive silk cocoon that is often seen on the sides of walls and trees. When the moth emerges, it is a very distinctive looking species that is almost unmistakable, with the body being entirely a slate gray color except for a bright orange head. A great way to end this day.